Hello to all of my BPTV friends, YouTube friends, Facebook friends. I'm Alan Levine, the Talking Machine. I'm ready to do my 30-second Maria's Ideas Teaches Us to Paint.
Welcome back if you've been with us before, and thank you for joining us if you are new to our show. We are here in the Southside Slopes of Pittsburgh, PA. If you're ever around, stop by. We are at John Ozark Studio, and we have a very special guest from the National Aviary. This is their third time joining us, so we're very happy. Jamie Travitz, the Senior Education Trainer and Safety Specialist. If you've ever been to the Aviary, he's there. He's always doing something, right? So, yes, Jamie, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome. We're excited to have you, and you can talk about our friend that we're going to paint, right?
Yeah, I'm very happy to be here. You've always been such a great part of helping the Aviary, a big friend of ours and a major supporter. We greatly appreciate it. But yeah, today we are painting a scarlet macaw, one of my favorite birds on the planet. Specifically, we are painting Red, the scarlet macaw, who is one of our education ambassadors. She goes out to schools, does a lot of programs for us, and is a really dynamic and fun bird that I'm excited to talk about.
She's gorgeous.
Yes. Well, thanks for being here.
Was she one of the birds that does paintings too, or no?
Red was recently trained to paint.
Okay.
She does a decent job.
Okay.
I will say this, painting with the animals though, I more often than not end up with paint all over myself.
Aww.
So we're gonna do our best not to have that happen.
Yeah,
Well,
we're
you
good.
got an apron on, so you're ahead of the game.
Hopefully it'll work.
You look good in it too.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
And I'm honored to have the Aviary here 3 times, but we need a special guest, maybe on the 4th show.
You mean a feathered or furry one?
Well, that I was thinking about a painter, but I like to be meticulous. But maybe somebody named Becca.
I was just going to say, we also have our friend who's behind the scenes. The brains behind it all. Becca Hansberger, Burrow Stout. Did I say it right? Becca. She doesn't want to be on camera, but she's here and she keeps everything going, and so we know what to do and talk about, right? Well, I know you know too. So thank you, Becca. Okay.
Thanks for being here again.
All right.
And so we're refusing your invite again.
Yes, exactly. So we're going to get started here. So first I'll show you a couple things. If you watch the tutorials to draw the designs first on my YouTube channel, there are a couple different ways I show you. So if you don't know how to draw, you can watch that first. I show you how to transfer the design if you want to do that. I show you how to scale. I did this from like a 5x7 and I transferred it onto 11x14. You can do it larger, smaller by using that grid method. So you can do that anytime. And let's see, so as Jamie mentioned, we are painting Red, beautiful scarlet macaw, which is the primary colors, which is great. So typically, when we painted over the years, we start with a white background. When you paint with acrylics, you usually start with the background and you build up the layers. But because we do this in a short amount of time, we're painting something in less than 40 minutes that most people might take hours to do. So we do it in sections. What I've been doing lately is something that seems to be a fun, more trendy type of painting where you do the underpainting a brighter color. Now, old masters and traditional painters often would start with like a burnt sienna or a natural earthy tone just to warm up the canvas and then lay your colors on top of that. But now people are doing some fun things with bright turquoises and pinks and oranges, and I chose a bright orange. I actually mixed a bright neon red and orange together and just put that on the canvas. So if you want to do that, and what we do is as we paint, you can leave some of that background poke through. So on this, you can see here, that represents the color showing through. Okay, so you don't have to cover all of it, and you'll see even with painting the bird. So that's just something that we're kind of starting to do here, and I think that's fun.
And thank you so much for explaining all that.
Yeah, yeah.
I love it.
And I love that everyone just says yes to coming to the show without knowing that it's already pre-drawn for you. So
I like the history too.
It's easy, yes. So it's very easy to do. So
I appreciate it more.
Yeah. So, and also feathers and fur are the most difficult things to paint, most people say. And anytime I do the paint classes at the aviary, we're doing the sloths or the penguins or the birds, whatever. So, but I like to say that everyone does really well. You know, it's easy once you know which brush to use. And
I'll tamper my nerves.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
yeah. No, you're good. So we are going to start with a filbert brush. Now, if you look at the feathers, and you can help us with, like, I'm always stuck with, I don't know this section and what that's called. You'll be able to finally do that for us.
Body parts of birds.
So these feathers, what are these feathers?
So the yellow ones on there are going to be called secondaries.
Okay.
The blue part that comes down there, those would be her primary. These
Primary.
are flight feathers.
Flight feathers.
And then up on the shoulder, you can kind of see there's some tertiary, is what those would be called. So primary,
Whoa.
secondary, tertiary.
Can you spell
That's like
that?
the colors on the color wheel are
Yeah,
primary
exactly.
colors, tertiary.
Well, there you go. Yeah, and
Interesting.
what I like about the Scarlet too, you already mentioned, they got the whole rainbow on that wing,
Yes,
which is
it's
great.
beautiful. And then the yellow and the blue makes green, and they have that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have the red and yellow makes orange. So they do have the primary and tertiary colors.
Yes.
Wow, I love that. Okay, so we're going to start with these feathers
dip
down
into the
here.
water.
So whenever you're painting feathers or fur, you paint them like shingles on a roof, right? So the shingles, you lay the first shingle down and the other one's on top. So when you paint them, you do the same thing. We want the underneath and then these feathers on top. And that's how, otherwise you'd be, having to paint
And
around
that's
them
how
or
she
something.
was holding her brush.
So
I did. That was like the
I
first
saw
thing
you.
I
Yeah.
did.
So you're
So-
on the right page.
yeah, so I'm wetting that brush like Alan said, he knows now. And I also mix right on the canvas too. When we're painting, we do a lot of double loading with the paints too. So I feel like there's a different range of the blues in here, and we are using acrylics. We're using what would be considered like a cerulean blue, a medium blue, a lemon yellow or cad yellow, white, a bright red, and black. And we're going to mix our other colors. So let's just start with the blue. Just dip our brush in the blue, okay? And we're gonna go right to the canvas. And now, if you see how I'm holding the brush, instead of holding it this way, we're starting at the bottom of those. This is the primary feathers, right?
Yes.
Start at the bottom, and then right at the log, and then just pull up. Just go like this. And you can see that's a feather, kind of like a feather shape. And you can leave some of that background color in between if you'd like. Now, there are your feathers already. See? Now, if you want a wider feather, you can hold it the other way. So you could see here, we already have that feather shape. And then whenever you're painting anything, a landscape, an animal, or whatever, paint the layers in the direction of whatever that section is. Okay, so the feathers are going this way, so we're not painting horizontally. Now, without cleaning the brush, let's dip into maybe a little bit of white. And we can just take that white and maybe just go like this, just kind of mix a little bit, just a tiny bit of white, and just grab and just get a different value. A value is a little lighter color of what we had, and then just go over them again, just very quickly, like not cover the same exact brush strokes, but just kind of, if you do something like this, now we have that blue on our brush, we'll grab anything, let's paint anything that's blue. So we have these, they come up into here, and then we have this, and then, so again, we're going to start at the bottom of the feather, and then you see I'm pushing down a little bit, I'm just holding the brush like this, push that, and then you just pull up, just like that. I just do it very quickly, so you're,
She's so good at it.
well, I have to think about what I'm doing because it's automatic for me. So I'm holding it on its edge vertically, push and pull up. And that's a feather, right? So let's see. And then we have a little, I guess this is part of the wing from the other side, right? Over here.
Yeah, it's like that's the other wing kind of crossing back.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, and this was from a photograph of Red that the National Aviary provided. So this is actually Red. We are painting her from her photograph on this branch. All right, so now we can even throw, there's a little bit down here on the tail, right? Anywhere you see
Yeah,
the
just
blue.
a little bit.
Okay, and then there's some on this wing over here. And again, if you leave some of that orange poking through, that's okay, it's up to you. All right, so we have that. Now, without cleaning the brush, because the tertiary, was it tertiary feather at the top? That's
Yeah.
the secondary feather?
Secondary is
Secondary
yellow, yeah.
feather,
Yellow and
but
green.
it has it starts to get a little bit more of those aqua teal tones because those colors mix, which is fascinating, right? So let's, without cleaning a brush, take a little bit of yellow and let's see what it looks like on our plate. And you can see it looks just like those feather colors, right? And now just hit the tips of those secondary feathers right here, right? Not all the way up because they turn into the yellow, so you can see. And again, we're not worried about painting this so realistically. This is art, right?
Okay.
This is our interpretation of a bird. So it doesn't have to be exactly the same, but you can just, if you look at the photo, and I'm sure you know more than we do about the feathers, where they are. So I'm just hitting, you can see that, so they mixed a little, right? See if there's any on there, maybe a little bit on there. Now we'll clean our brush. And we'll do the same thing with the yellow, then yellow into
As you
red.
press it on the bottom. a
Yep.
little.
And then we'll go into the yellow, and then the yellow without cleaning it into the red that makes the orange, and then the red. And then our light source, I would say, you know, in this photo, I don't know where red was when this photo, but the light obviously looks like it's up in here.
It looks
okay?
like almost above its head.
Yeah. So like we could, yeah.
my
So we can
amateur
keep
eye.
that in
Yeah.
mind as we paint. So
Just saying.
yeah.
If the photographer's who I think it was, yeah, he probably had a light box over
Okay.
here.
All right. That sounds good because so
Thank
we'll
you for your input.
Yeah, no, we have a very talented photographer.
everybody
in our marketing
there.
department, a couple of them, yes.
Oh yeah. So we'll just continue with the yellow, and then yellow with the red that makes the orange, and then the red, and then some little highlights.
Yellow first, though.
Yeah. So, but we can talk now if you want to.
Yeah,
Can you
for
talk
sure.
and paint at the
Yes.
same time? You're used
Well,
to doing a lot of things while you're talking,
We will find
right?
out if I can talk and paint. I've worked at the aviary for 19 years. When I was in college, I was just a biology major, and
Okay.
coming out of that, I was not 100% sure what I wanted to do.
Well,
and
you're
I was,
young. It's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of, why I bring that up, because one of the things that I kind of figured out, I was sitting in a class in my senior year, no less, and talking to some friends who were talking about zoo internships that they were going to do.
Oh, that's interesting.
And it hit me, it's like, there's some great zoos in
Yeah.
Pittsburgh here. We got
Oh,
the Pittsburgh
yeah.
Zoo and, of course, the National Aviary.
Yep.
So I came home, I applied for an internship at the aviary.
And tell them where you
And,
grew up.
I grew up in South Park. Yes.
Oh. With the buffalo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I
used
know
to take
North
my
Park
kids
has the
to
lake,
see
but
'em,
we had
yeah.
the buffalo.
Exactly. And we used to like sled right down that hill. I don't yeah, anyway. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, so I grew up over there, and kind of talked to them and those friends, and applied to the National Aviary. And
Wow, just like that.
I did. And where I got incredibly lucky is I took that that first interview, and I got offered the internship essentially.
Congrats. Yeah.
So
I don't think it's just luck though. They're very good there, and they wouldn't
they're
have
incredible, yes.
hired you or brought you on if you weren't.
well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Qualified and knowledgeable, and they're just so good at bringing the right people in. I just love everything about the aviary. I just do.
And another big long and short of it here is I never left, right? So
Yeah.
19 years, we got that
Yes.
clarified and why.
I started after the internship, I started on our vet team, which is actually where I met Red. I was a vet tech. Red was a bird who
How old is Red?
22 years old, actually. Her hatch date was, I want to say, May
So she was
2nd.
just a youngster when you met her.
Yes, yeah, she absolutely
can do
was.
math.
Yeah, no, she was young. And what's really crazy is scarlet macaws in the wild can live into their 30s, their 40s, if you will.
I was going to ask that, yes.
But under human care, especially at a zoo like the National Aviary, with the level of care we're able to give, that
Right.
number jumps up into the 60s or the 70s.
Wow.
Really?
So yeah, so what
That's
I
amazing, isn't it?
it is, and
Yeah.
what I like to joke about when we have guests is I tell them that when Red is considered an old bird, I'm going to be an extremely old bird. So
I
yeah,
like your humor.
yes. So she'll be she should be with us for another good
That's
40 years or
awesome.
so
40,
before she's
50
even
maybe.
considered.
And she was
yeah.
at your wedding.
Yes. So,
Hold it. Tell us about the wedding. Where did you meet?
So the National Aviary, is a great place to have a wedding. I can tell you
It
from
is
personal
amazing,
experience.
yes.
And you can find information about that on our website, aviary.org.
Okay, when did you get married?
And you don't have to worry about anything either. They handle everything.
Yes.
I teach their classes there. If I say every little thing I need, it's like they are on it.
Wow.
Everything, no worries ever.
One thing we still hear about as well as the venue was how good the food was from
food's
Atrius.
so good.
Yeah,
yes,
they're great.
who's like in-house. But
Yeah.
but yeah, so the other cool thing about it is when my wife and I met, she was actually afraid of birds.
No way.
and-
can you mention your wife's name?
So I'm sure she'll love it. Erica. Yeah, Erica.
That's
Chavez.
what I do
Hi,
on my
Erica.
shows.
Yes.
Yes.
But yeah, so she was not a huge fan of birds. She had, like many people, she had a scary experience with gulls at the beach when she was really
sure,
young.
I can understand
and that can
that.
stick with you. So when we started dating, I told her where I worked and I
Yeah.
brought her in, and I've always said you got to start with the right bird.
Yeah.
Very good.
For her, it happened to be one of our African penguins. And then we graduated up to red and some of our screech owls and things like that, all ambassadors to do classes and programs for us.
And now she probably holds birds and hangs out with them.
Yeah, she comes in. She goes into all the rooms now.
See?
She comes to the shows, which is good
awesome.
because that's what I do. So it's nice to kind of have that, honestly.
That's
so
awesome.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
yeah, and I do want to share one really cool thing about like parrots too, because we're painting these beautiful
Yes.
colors on here.
Yes.
This is actually a most birds thing. The color you see, birds don't produce pigment in their feathers. So the
I've
color
heard
you
that,
see
yeah.
is like reflected light.
Right.
So if you come to the aviary and get to meet Red or some of our other avian ambassadors, especially the colorful ones, at certain angles, like this tail will look brown or black,
Oh,
depending.
really?
Yeah. So if you took a feather that she molted and ground it up, it would be brown or black
Yeah.
because it's just
Well,
structural color. I
Here's
think
a
is what they call
question.
that.
What do
Like
they
a
look?
prism, right? Or like how a prism works, or no?
I think, yeah. I mean, I'm not
Kinda?
going to get into like
Yeah.
physics because
Yeah.
that's way out of my depth.
Well,
Yeah.
here I
But
got.
yeah, it's
I
like
got,
the
I
the
got
reflective
one a
color.
little out there. If they're in the dark and you bring a white light, what color would it look like?
It's going to depend on the angle of the light, honestly.
no,
But
yeah.
More than
no,
likely,
I
it's going to
needed
be
an
red.
answer,
Yeah,
yeah.
And that explains why when you see photos, and even in this one, this photo of Red, that's much browner
Yes.
down in there because of the light that's
Yeah,
in shadow,
it's
right?
not just shadow; it's how it refracts back at you. There's like
amazing.
2 or 3 species that produce their own pigments.
Okay.
If you go white-cheeked taracos, which we have at the
Yes, you
aviary,
do.
they produce the
Oh.
green and the red in there. So if you
Okay.
took theirs and dipped it in water or ground it up, it would come
Oh.
up. It would
Really?
come up red. Yeah,
That is
absolutely.
so cool.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know any
Thanks
bird's
for going
feathers
deep
did
on
that.
that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. It's one of the things
Yeah.
I
I
find
didn't know it.
fascinating about
You
these
taught
birds.
me
Yeah.
something.
Yeah,
Thank
well,
you.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Happy to do it.
This looks great. You're doing a great job. I like yours better than I like mine. Mine still looks like it needs some highlights and
I
shadows.
don't know about that.
Well, what we're going to do is we're just going to keep moving along now in each section. So again, the feathers, you start below, and then the key would be, again, I always refer to shingles because if you're putting shingles or laying brick or whatever, could you tell I'm part Italian? Shingle because
Hey, it
I
makes
helped
sense to
my
me,
dad
Maria.
do some things when we were younger, and he was one of those guys that did that stuff. So if that's the bottom row, top row, but when you add some different color,
Oh yeah.
see how that's
Gives it like structure almost.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's when you're
She's
painting.
building a roof. You
Yeah,
got it.
building a roof.
That's our
Okay.
theme.
Okay, so now we're going to do that with the red. Now, if we just do the same color red all the way through, it's going to look flat. But what we're doing is we're going to, again, keep in mind the light source. So up here, it's brighter and lighter, but if we add white, we'll get pink. So we can add yellow to warm it up and brighten it up. We can add some white. So we're just going to start here, and you can't see too much of the different feathers on this, but just again, the texture of the paint. And then the belly, I guess that's the belly, right?
Yeah.
And then the head, we'll zoom in on the head when we do the head. And then same thing with the tail. So we're just gonna work in with all that red, and wherever you see it's lighter, you'll just come in with your lighter color. We'll add some yellow, a little bit of white, and just keep it going, just like that, okay? So
All
let's
right.
do that, and then if you want to chat about anything, you're good to go too. I'll just keep painting, and we
Well,
also
if you
have
need
our
to focus.
Yeah,
Exactly.
no. One thing I did want to bring up and make sure your viewers know that they have an opportunity to actually paint with you coming up at the aviary.
Yes.
Tell
So-
the date then. Go
We
ahead.
have, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I think it's
okay.
August 23rd. August 23rd?
Yes, so we are celebrating two of our sloths' birthdays coming up in August. Our oldest sloth, Wookie, will be turning 25. He's the one you can see in the tropical forest.
He's so cute.
Wow.
And our youngest sloth, Vivian, many of your viewers probably remember her as a baby when she arrived at the aviary.
Yeah.
I do remember.
She
yeah.
will be 8 years old this
Aw,
year.
and she was
Um,
my live model for 2 of my paint classes back in the day when she was young.
Well, there you go.
She
yeah.
was, yeah.
So part of that celebration is Marie's going to come in and do a brushes and birds at the National Aviary. Again, information for that is on our website. You can definitely
Yes.
find it there.
Say the website so they know.
It's aviary.org, and again, the paintings on the 23rd of August, and August 21st is our birthday celebration. You can come in. We'll have sloth-themed crafts. We'll have special talks.
That's fun. Oh my
There's a
gosh.
birthday card you'll get to sign, and the sloths really appreciate that. I can tell you for sure.
A birthday card for Wookie, you mean?
For Wookie and
And-
Vivian,
oh, Vivian,
yes.
Vivian.
yes.
Whoa.
And then of course we have Valentina, whose birthday's not till Halloween
Yeah.
though, but that's okay.
Valentino.
Yes,
He's
he
so
gets his
cute.
own birthday.
Hey, Jamie, my favorite picture is a sloth in a cup for the Bethel Park Library that Maria did.
Oh, really?
I
yeah,
did.
I had to share
It
that
hangs
because
there.
appreciate the library.
Yeah.
Yes.
We love libraries.
It's a great place to learn about a lot of these animals too.
Whoopsie. So I accidentally, there was still some blue in my brush, so I accidentally got some blue up there. So we'll have to, I might, well, I can let it create some shadow. I was going to say let it dry, but with art, you know, if you want to leave some blue up there, it's okay, right? I mean, it's not.
And red
Oh,
paints, who's to say she didn't paint there and
there
get
you
blue
go.
on her head?
Okay,
Yeah.
I feel better now. I feel
Jamie,
better
you're
now.
welcome back.
Yeah, no, they so a very natural behavior for parrots is they have a very strong beak. A bird this size, their bite force is around 700 pounds per square inch. They can crack
Wow,
through a
that's
broom
powerful,
handle.
yeah.
Yes,
Wow.
they use it to eat a variety of nuts and things like that. But the beak is also incredibly articulate. They'll use it as an extra hand when they're climbing. They can use it to manipulate, believe it or not,
How many
sticks and
times do
things.
you feed them a
Um,
day? Or do you just put out food and just see what they're eating?
So it depends on the bird and what their job is.
All right, Red.
So,
Let's go to
so
Red.
so for Red, because she's working now and she's doing classes and programs for us, she gets to eat technically 3 times a day. The first thing they get in the
Okay.
morning
Oh, I wonder.
is
That's interesting. Yeah.
first thing they get in the morning is a big bowl of fruit and veggies, and honestly,
Probably eats
they
better.
look
About how
yes,
big?
exactly. They look incredibly healthy.
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
like a cereal bowl or?
Yeah, it's it's about that big maybe,
All right.
and about like
We're getting
2 or 3 inches
technical.
deep.
Yeah.
So it's so they get to eat a lot of that, or they eat that first, and then we have kind of a specially formulated. It's special for parrots. It's
Oh wow,
a
this is it. I'm glad I asked.
Yeah,
You're going
it's-
deep for me. Thank you.
but yeah, so we have 2 items that are in that called Pretty Bird, which she is, and
Pretty
parrot
Bird.
pellets. But if you have a pet at home that eats kind of a dry food that has all the things they need in it, that's in there.
Yeah.
And we supplement nuts and stuff like that as well. So Red will actually get to eat, or Red will eat that twice throughout the day. So
Oh,
she might
okay.
come out and do 2 programs for us, or she'll do one, and the other one she gets to have in her enrichment and like kind of her like little food items, things like that. So
Is she real particular on how she eats or what she eats?
she does get very excited when it's time to eat. She will. I'm trying to copy you.
No,
over here.
you're good.
She will. She will get excited when she Red. When she eats, especially with her enrichment, she'll come down and she'll kind of vocalize that. She does these sweet little
Does she?
woo noises when
Aw.
she's really excited.
You're going to do bird calls for us. Nice.
Well, parrots. One of the things we get asked a lot is whether or not they can talk. I
Yes.
guess I should answer the first question.
I was
Yes.
going to ask that.
Yes.
You beat me to it. Go ahead.
But yeah, she'll come down. She'll be real excited about whatever. That is not working.
No, it's good. Just let it dry. You can
okay.
always go over the layers.
Okay, awesome. But yeah, so she'll
And
she'll
there
co-
are no mistakes.
No.
Maria corrected me on
No.
that. Nothing's a mistake.
it just doesn't look the way I want
Well,
it to.
and
That's all,
also, well, it never does.
Okay, good.
I've been painting my whole life, and it never does.
Okay.
It's just a thing,
That makes
because
me
we
feel
have it in
better.
our head. And if you feel like you have
She's
too
good at
much
that,
paint
right?
on, you can clean the brush and you can kind of wipe some of it back off too. But I would just say just let it dry, and if you want, and then you can go over that. Is Red in one of the theater shows, maybe?
Red is not. So
No.
Red is one of 3 scarlet macaws that live at the National Aviary. We
Oh,
actually have
I
a
didn't know
total of 9 different parrot species.
Wow.
But her across the way, the other 2 scarlets, Ruby and Starburst,
Ruby, yes. Okay, I
are
bet Ruby.
in the show,
Yes.
and you can see them. I don't want to spoil it. They are in the show. You'll have to
Okay.
come down and see it. But
You
they
can
have a
tease
really
them. This
cool.
is
yes.
TV. You
Yeah,
can tease
exactly.
them.
Yeah,
And
they have a.
YouTube.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I want them to come down and check it out
It's
too.
amazing.
So, but yeah, so it's a really neat show. We're doing Passport to Parks. It's a theme.
I
It's
love
themed
that.
around our national parks, not just here in the States, but around the world, and all the incredible and beautiful species that you can find there.
Yeah.
So it's definitely worth coming down to check out. The scarlet macaws are in it. Red, on the other hand, goes out and does a lot of our classes. So she'll go to schools. She'll do programs in the hallway.
She must be a fan favorite.
She absolutely is because of her personality, because of how pretty she is.
She is beautiful.
They can learn to mimic. However, Red never really has.
No?
So Red has learned one thing. She used to make a baby begging noise when she was little.
Yeah.
And the trainers who were first raising her made that sound back at her. So the noise that Red now makes is her copying the person copying her.
Oh, really?
Oh
And
my goodness, that's
You
funny.
saw
So
Mars
interesting.
Attacked. It sounds like one of
Yeah.
them. She goes lot lot like that.
Aw.
She will
Thanks for
do.
your imitation.
Yeah, no problem. She does do other vocalizations. Some of the things that she'll do. My favorite is she'll actually bridge herself. When we train, we use the word good to bridge the end of a behavior and the bird getting the treat, so they know the treat's on the way.
Yeah.
So she will, when we're driving in the van to or from some of these classes, these programs, she'll sit in the back and tell herself what a good bird she is. She'll go,
Oh,
good
so
Red, over
great.
and over again.
I love it.
when
Thanks
we're-
for sharing that.
When we're in
That's
a big crowd or a big group and something funny happens, she'll actually laugh along with the audience, which is pretty cute. And unfortunately,
wow.
none of this can I get on cue. To get her to do when we
Yeah,
ask for it. So
yeah.
you have to meet her and hang out with her to really get to experience her. So
that's
it's
sweet.
pretty neat.
So I filled in the red, and again, I kept in mind the direction of the feathers. It needs to dry a little before I can add some more of the highlights. This still looks a little flatter to me. We are going to work on, and I also filled in the feathers down here, and you can see it's a little darker. So I mixed some black with the red, and it makes kind of like a little bit of a burgundy color for some of the shadow. So keep in mind the light and the shadow, okay? And then we can pick out some little details too, but I just want to get this along, and then we'll add the details in the background. So let's do the log, and we're going to very quickly, so we don't have brown, we're going to make a brown. What colors do you think we would use to make brown? Oh, you already have a good, that looks like a nice brown there.
By accident. I used red and black for that.
Okay, so I would suggest.
You're a
that
genius on the show.
Yeah, there you go. Let's do red, blue, and yellow. We'll mix, when you mix the primary colors, you can get a brown. The more red you put in there will look a little bit more like the burgundy color. More yellow, it will get a little warmer. So probably it would be less, I need to clean my brush. Less blue, I would say more red and yellow. Okay. I would even start with the red and yellow first. And then there's some blue in my brush already, so it made like a nice brown. You can always warm it up a little. You can add a little bit of white. You can add a little bit of black. If I want it a little darker, I'll add a little black, okay? So what we're going to do for this, we want this to look like bark, right? So the bark, you can see the direction is like this. And we're just going to do this very quickly. We're not going to worry about some details. We're just going to put the dark color on first, and I'm holding my brush again like this, and I'm just going to just clean off my brush basically. Wiggle it and, just clean off that brush, and then dip into your color again, maybe a lighter version of it. You can just throw some white in here. You can mix it right on the canvas. I took the yellow and the white, and I'm just going right like that on the canvas. So this is we're just very rough. The painting that I show, the design, I create that in a computer. So looks a little bit different, and I don't have any fancy brushes in there. I just do it, just a basic image, so we're not trying to make it match that perfectly, but you can see.
Mine's going to be
Here.
dark and bold. I'll just
That's okay.
explain
Yeah.
that to you.
And again, there may not be yellow on there, but we're adding yellow. It's artwork. You can add blue in there. You can add red. Do whatever you want. Okay. But we're just keeping it a little bit brighter at the top because the light would be hitting it up there. A little bit darker at the bottom. Like under here would be, there's even some blue on mine. And we can tweak all of this too. We just want to get some of that happening. So as the acrylics dry, then you add your little highlights and shadows and all. So this still, we'll still let that dry a little bit. And then, oh, I forgot this feather. So this feather right here, what's that right there on the, is that part of the,
Yeah, it looks like
that was on the
part of
photograph.
her other wing. Yeah,
Okay.
that back wing coming out.
Yeah, that's where I didn't
Okay.
know what to do with
yeah,
that.
all right. So that has the red.
Must be how she's sitting in the photo.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Very calm looking.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so we have that, and then we can add our, we usually, we'll look at our highlights and shadows and see what we need after that. So we're gonna put that filbert brush in the water. We'll just let that, we can rinse it. You can leave it in the water. Just, if you leave your brushes in your water too long, like for hours, they'll start to
I
bend.
got to catch up a little.
So you can
I'll
take
be
it
there.
out, rinse it, lay it there if you want. I have, I'm gonna switch my paper towel.
Trying to
You have
get my
another
yellow
paper
in there.
towel, or if you need
Yeah,
more,
no,
let me
go
know.
for it.
Okay, and then let's see. Let's grab. We have a small filbert, so it's a little curved. Yep.
That one?
So again, we are focusing on. Whoops. We are just focusing on this area. Now, is Red's beak like really white like that, or maybe it just looks like that from the photo?
No,
it's probably.
it's going to be largely white, almost like an
Okay.
ivory color might be
Oh,
better.
okay.
wow.
For some
I'm,
reason-
I'm not allowed to pick paints at home because I'm not great with white versus ivory versus eggshell. So we're going to say ivory, but it's white to
Okay.
me. Yeah.
Okay, because I always picture them it being so all dark, but it's
Yeah.
not. So we're going to paint
Yeah.
it similar to red. So, and then this section here around the eye, what's that called? Is
That
it
would be
called
white.
in-
Those are her cheeks there.
Cheeks,
Yeah, so
cheeks.
those are her cheeks.
Cool, okay.
And macaws, if you don't mind, they have
Yeah,
that
yeah.
bare patch there. So they're one of the largest parrot families in the world, like largest in size.
Yeah.
And one of the ways you can tell them is not only size, but they usually have bare patch somewhere on their face.
Okay.
And
Wow.
because it gets hot in the rainforest and birds don't sweat, what they'll do is they'll flush. And when Red's really excited, she'll flush. Like when she sees a trainer that she really
Yeah.
likes that she hasn't worked with
Yeah.
in a minute,
Aw.
she'll get pink, just like
Like the
we do.
penguins do with their.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Or like we do when your face gets all
Oh.
hot when you see somebody or you're nervous.
How sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same kind of thing.
Aw, that's interesting. I love learning. I'll have to check out Red, see if next time we go.
Yeah.
If Ruby or Red or anybody gets excited to see us, huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You can
All
look
right.
at 'em.
So what we're going to do is load our brush. Just take the extra off, and then we're kind of come in, and you can just lay the brush down. Now, when you're trimming something and you're blocking something in, when you're filling it in, if you lay the brush down and let the bristles spread out, and then just pull your hand,
So start
it's
top and
very
then down.
easy, or whichever direction you feel comfortable in. And what that does is it just gives you a nice line. If you use a smaller brush, sometimes it's more difficult to keep your hand steady. But if you use a bigger brush, you just let the bristles just line them up and pull your hand. All right, so let's fill that in with the white ivy or eggshell. I like eggshell because birds and eggs go together.
There you go,
so.
yeah.
All right, and then we'll do
Very
her little
apropos.
cheek. Yeah, and you can see on her, now I think I'm going to leave a little bit of this background color show through, just because maybe she's a little flushed and she's happy to see us.
You're going deep, Maria. I love it.
So and now keep in mind the feathers, the direction that they lay. I don't know if you could tell on here, but they're kind of coming this way. And
That's
this way.
skin. Those are wrinkles in the
Oh,
white.
it's
yeah.
not even feathers.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Thanks for explaining.
Yeah, they
that.
have a. They
And
have
you
a,
did
Maybe
say it's
come on
bare, but I
strong.
still was thinking, okay, that makes more sense. It's
Way
still,
to go.
And
I
one-
always thought it was feathers, but that makes more sense about the flushing. And okay, got it.
One of the ways you can tell these guys from green wing macaws, which
Oh.
look very similar, but they don't
Yes.
have. One is they're not going to have the yellow and the tail shorter, but the green wing macaws have red feather tracks that run through that white skin.
All right, take notes if
I
you're
think
watching.
that's why I was
Yes.
confused, because I can remember seeing
Yes.
close-ups, and then I can remember painting those little red things, but they were
Yeah, exactly.
feathers.
Yes.
But is the white part still bare?
underneath?
them?
Underneath, yeah, on the
Ah,
green wings, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's
We're
it's,
learning all
it's
this stuff.
Parrot
Thank you.
air conditioning is what we call it.
That's
how they
cool.
keep themselves cool.
Yeah, I love that.
But
So-
I mean, there are lines there. So yeah, how do we make those?
Well, we're going to grab a smaller brush. So I mixed up
Okay.
a gray. I mixed up just some black and white, and I'm filling in the lower section of the. Is that the?
Will the lower be black then, or?
Well, I'm mixing gray first, and then I'll make it a little darker just here and there.
All right, so you're
just
doing
I'm
black
just
and
blocking
white
it
then?
in with gray,
Yeah.
and then I'll add the black with the smaller brush, and then
her mandible.
they're
Wow.
the mandible
Yes.
and the nose or the nair. I've learned that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that is up in that little section, and then we'll grab, once you block that in, then you'll grab one of your little tiny detail round brushes. Okay, that's this little brush right here. Always, and then just when you wet it, once you're done, just always bring it to a point. Make sure we have that nice little point. And then I will go. Let's see. Is the nair? Is that it up in here, right? Is it
Yeah,
up in
it's going to
there?
be right where those feathers are meeting the
Neat.
top of her
Okay.
beak. Yeah.
Gotcha. Boy, it's so helpful to have someone that knows what they're talking about when we're painting birds, huh, Alan?
This is great.
I know.
I've learned so much from both of you.
I
Thank you.
know. Now when you go back, you'll look.
I'll look for that.
So which
Yeah.
one is it? The pointy
This
one? or-
little tiny one, yep, you just
Okay.
wet it and it already has a nice point. And now you can fill in with your details on this little area here. There's a little bit of the white that comes in, whoops, comes in here. And then the top of the mandible has the light hitting it right there. And it's a little brighter here. Now I'll clean my brush and I'll take the black and just kind of a dry brush where I'm taking the extra paint off.
Oh, use it dry?
Well, after I have that blocked in, I put some black on my brush, but you can see I'm just shading a little by not having it as wet, and I'm just
This
shading.
is a master class now, Jamie.
And again, we are painting this quickly. This is something that most people would spend hours on.
Oh, I'm
So
taking my
you guys are
time. I
doing
didn't
a good
realize we're
job.
going fast.
You're just a naturally fast painter. huh?
Yeah.
I've learned.
And then you can build up the black. And then there's that little section right in here. Make sure you get this. This is the space between the beak and the mandible. Is that right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
That's just a
mandible.
little
Yeah.
gap in there, right? And there's a little
Yeah.
bit here and there. Okay. And there might be, like, I'm cleaning off my brush, but it still has a little bit of paint on it. And I'm just blending just a little, just to give it some dimension here. And then it almost looks, it might just be the photograph. It almost looks like there's a little hint of a color, like a warm or a on the edge of the beak, but that's probably just the way the light was, right? It's still
yeah, it's
the
probably
lighter.
like kind of because like
Yeah.
it's. I mean, it's a very crisp, clean beak, you know,
Okay.
in person.
Okay, and this is where now, if you want to indicate some of these little wrinkles in the on here, you can just take any color, a little bit of gray or a little bit of just something that a little bit too much on there, and then just hit it in the direction of the folds, and then yep, kind of come around in there. And now the eye looks yellow. Is it yellow? Or like a...
It's kind of a real light yellow kind of, yeah.
So I'm going to mix, I'm putting white on my brush and then yellow, and then I'll come in and I'll fill that in first. And then I will make sure my brush is clean and I get the tiniest point on my brush, and I'm taking just a little bit.
Yeah, if you wipe it
You have
on
a
your
clean
plate,
plate
you can
under
get
the
it
other one.
from there,
Oh, good, okay.
So so when you need to do something very tiny, you take your brush, this little thin brush here, and you can see if I roll it and do that with it, it gets that little point back in there. A little bit of water, just roll it in, because we want to draw around the outer edge of the eye, and we don't, if we make it too thick, it's going to look kind of more cartoony or a little funny. So we can always add more white around it if we make it too thick. But I'm just coming in very light and just doing, it's easy if you do like a little frown and a smiley shape. Instead of trying to do a perfect circle, you just do it in halves. And then that little section in the center, we'll do the pupil. And then you could either leave a little section of the highlight in the eye, or you can add it back in. And now I feel like this might be a little bit too white, so I'll add in some little darker areas. We'll cut in around the beak and the head while we have this zoomed in, okay? So we're coming in. That looks good. Now, you can leave some of this background color, again, if you want to, but I would cut in with this little brush because we'll fill in the background. You can go like this, you can leave it, you can get right up to the white. You want a nice contrast where this black is. So if there happened to be that darker area right here where the background is going to be, you can lighten it up just so there's a contrast between the lower part and the background. So we're just cutting in, and then we'll use our bigger brush to block this in, okay? So when I come around like this, see how I'm holding this brush like this, again, in the direction of the feathers, and I'm purposely leaving a little bit of this background color because that almost looks like a highlight around her head, okay? And I'm doing these quick little brush strokes. So that's our, okay, that's that. All right, so we will, okay, so we zoomed back out. We got some of that head done. We are going to work on the toes. Let's grab our small filbert again, or if you feel more comfortable with the tinier brush, you can do that, but I'm using the filbert on its edge. And I will come in, I'm mixing a gray, so just some black and white. Usually when you mix a darker color with a very light color, like black and white, if you start with a white first, you can put it on your plate, and then add the black. It's easier to just make it darker. It's a little more difficult to go lighter. You end up wasting a lot of paint if you think about it that way. So I would just mix like a light gray, light to medium gray, and just block in. So they're called toes, right?
Yes.
They have 3? 2?
4, actually,
4.
yeah.
Whoa.
So there's
So it's a zygodactyl foot formation. There's 2 toes that face forward,
And
2
two-
more that face backward.
Okay.
Parrots are excellent climbers. You'll see them in the wild, like holding food, like when she eats her peanuts and things
Really?
like that.
Yeah.
she'll
Do they
hold it.
crack the shells?
They do. So they'll use it in conjunction with their beak, where they'll grip the. Hang on one second. I
The
gotta
shell?
focus here. Yeah, they'll grip it with their
Because
foot.
I like peanuts, so I know how to crack the shell.
Yeah, so they'll crack it open with their beak, and what's really neat is once they open it, they'll hold it with that foot, kind of like I said, and their
Well, it's
tongue.
like a hand there.
Yeah, exactly. Their tongue is very articulated, so they can get in there. They'll pry it out of the shell, and
Wow.
one neat thing that Red likes to do is, you know, the little skin that's on the peanut on the
Yeah.
inside. She won't eat that. She'll actually peel it off and then spit it
I
out.
know
and then
people
you can-
that
the whole
spit that
time
out
that it's
too.
just
Yeah.
there, and she.
Yeah, but
I'm
she's
hard-
able to just unwrap it.
Wow.
I'm
this is-
hardcore. I eat that skin.
Well, there you go. Yeah, but this is a beak designed to crack through like really hard nuts.
That's amazing.
And that's what she's using it for, which
That's
is just
amazing. Very cool.
Great details.
Yeah.
Love it.
So what I did was I blocked it in with the filbert. Now I'm just adding some little highlights and shadows. And that's why I was confused why I'm only seeing 2. I figured, okay, the third one's in the back, but there's 2 in the front, 2 in the back. Okay. I'm learning a lot too. That's
most birds have 4. Usually it's
Yeah.
3 and 1.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Great stuff, Jamie.
Okay, so we grab the filbert. Now I just mixed up just a little bit of a softer black, not as harsh, and I'm coming in, and then we're doing this little shadow under the toes, right? And then be a little shadow where it meets the feathers. It'd be a little darker there. And we'll do some little shadows on our feathers and all too, but let's get this, and then a little, are they called talons? Or on a parrot, or no?
On a parrot, they're just nails.
Nails.
Talons.
are,
Yeah, for raptors.
That's
so
too
hawks,
simple, Jamie. Come on.
Hawks, eagles, owls, and falcons. The way I
Gotcha.
remember it is raptor. I don't know the Latin word, so don't ask, but it comes
Okay.
from
Yeah.
a Latin word. It means to grab or to seize.
Oh.
So if you're grabbing with your feet, you're a
Gotcha.
raptor. So hawks, eagles, owls, and falcons.
okay.
Take notes, please. This is great.
I know.
The aviary strikes again with good verbiage.
Yeah. I know I have a goal to paint everyone that lives there. I know,
Wow.
but but then it changes. You guys, what, you have skunks now? You have
We do. We got skunks in there in
and,
the show too.
the armadillos.
Oh,
skunks.
yeah,
And wait, but
thank-
you got something else too. Wait, did you get something else besides skunks? Didn't you get little hedgehogs? Hedgehogs? Or you
so
had them?
we got a hedgehog.
Wow.
She is currently behind the scenes. She did her little meet and greet a couple of months ago. But it's funny you bring up the armadillos because starting August 1st, actually,
Okay.
which is
That's
today for
today.
those of you at home,
Yeah.
we have a brand new encounter called Armadillo and Friends that has started.
Oh.
So you get to meet one of the 3-banded armadillos and
So cute.
and a bird guest, which right now is one of our RSRs, which is one of the smallest toucan
Oh,
species on the
yeah.
planet.
They're so beautiful.
Very adorable. They'll hop hand to hand. The RSRia will.
Really?
Yeah, and then you get the
That's
chance
so
to.
cute.
Yes, you get the chance to interact with the armadillo as well.
And those little feet, they're like little hoofs.
Yeah, they have like those
You
long
hear them
front
like-
claws they walk on.
Yeah,
Looks like
that-
Lady
that's
Gaga's shoes. Yeah, just like allows them to get around. But yeah, so
Lady
that's a really
Gaga's
cool encounter. It just started today.
Yeah.
Right before we came here, I know a number of the days are already booked out for the first week.
Aw.
So if you want to meet them, again, check our website, but do it
Yeah.
soon. That's only running through the 31st.
Yeah, it'll be in the
Wow.
credits, but it is aviary.org, right?
Yes,
Thank you so
aviary.org. Thank
much.
you for that
Yeah.
reminder.
Oh,
yes.
yes, it is in the credit. So, I did the toes and the nails, okay? You can add some little details, you can add some shadows. Now I'm just grabbing this little brush and anywhere that I see maybe on the log or on the bird, and I'm just looking at the photograph and just adding maybe some just highlights and shadows that you see. You look at the darkest areas and just you could see with this little tip, when you add a little bit of water to it and make it more of like an inky consistency, you can kind of sketch with it and very lightly, like maybe just kind of like, just very loosely. You see, I'm just doing the suggestion of maybe some little feathers here. And now the background, let's get to that. You guys can catch up, so don't worry about that. Now,
you.
usually, I don't think we have a graphic for like a natural brush. We always use the synthetic brushes. But for this background, after I cut in around it, I'm going to use a natural brush, which is stiffer, coarser, because I want some texture in the background. And that helps you get a little bit more texture when you use the natural brush. It's a coarser brush. But I'm cutting in, I'll grab my filbert that we used before. I'm going to finish cutting in, and I am purposely leaving some of that background around the bird. I just feel like it makes it like a highlight. And if I don't like maybe the shape of my log, I feel like it's a little bit thicker here. The nice thing and the reason why we did the bird first and not the background first, which we usually do the background first, but the background's black. If we did the background first and it wasn't all dry, and then we're going in with our colors and it grabbed any of that black, it would be all smudgy and
I knew there was
icky
a
and-
method to this madness.
Yes. So we're doing, because it's very easy, and I'll show you right here. Just say I don't like the way this is shaped. I feel like, oh, it's too straight. With the black, I can cover up
Oh, look
some
at
of that, okay?
Wow.
So now I have so any part of the bird that you don't like so much, like I feel like right here, I want to bring in a little bit more. I'll come in and just come in around red and just fill in anything with the black. Get as close as you want. I'd say maybe, even a half an inch or so, and then just like blend it out. And then we're going to grab our big brush, okay? And let's see, we'll come around here. This is where you fly, right? Oh,
Fly.
No pun intended, huh?
Apropos.
No, I like
fly.
that. Yeah.
So you got married at the aviary. I didn't get married there. You guys weren't doing that yet, but I did meet my hubby Jono there in with the flamingos in 1988.
Oh, that's fun.
Did you know that? You probably knew that. Everybody knows that at the that works there, but you may not.
Well, I
know.
mean, do they know that though? That's the important thing. Yeah.
Maybe.
Way to
if
go,
you've watched-
Jamie.
So we did. It
All
was
of
the
you out
Wings.
there.
Yeah, it was the Wings and Wildlife art show that neither one of us wanted to do. I was here doing airbrush T-shirts and jackets, and my sister was a volunteer. And you should do this show, and I'm like, I don't do shows. And he was bartending at the time, and a friend came in with a bird. He'd come in with birds on his shoulder all the time. Oh, I'm a volunteer at the aviary. You should do the show. And he was like, I don't do shows. But we both did the show. We met there, and we were married
That was meant to be.
1991,
Yeah.
and the rest is history, I guess. So his artwork is in
Great
the hallways
story.
over there.
It
His artwork's
is,
in the gift
yeah.
shop.
And people stop and look and photograph the art
That's
on
awesome.
the daily. It's really, really neat to have it,
Thank
especially
you.
because they're all birds from the aviary.
Oh,
which
he
is
works
really
from
nice.
photographs, and it's a big
Yes.
fundraiser for the aviary too, so which is nice. Okay, so you can see what I did. Now this is where you just want to make a mess on your canvas. Leave some of those, the background color. You can look. I'm just doing like this. So I am going to grab this other brush though because I want some more texture. All right, so I'm
we
going
get
to
to use the
grab.
big one? I'm gonna do
You
that
you don't
too.
have to, but you
No, I
can.
want to.
So now, so look, you can see how it leaves more. It leaves more texture. So I'm coming in. I'm just. Oops, some blue accidentally just got on my brush, and that's okay. If you wanted to move a little more, you can add a tiny bit of water. Now you can see I'm just very quickly, because I want this to be more expressive in the background. And then, so there you go, okay? Now I'll clean my brush, and I left some of that background color, right? This is all gonna make sense, promise, I promise. Now
Can't wait.
Now I'm cleaning that brush. I left some of that color. That looks great. I'd say the only thing is when you get closer to around the bird, blend it out so it doesn't look like there's a black line around the bird. You know, just make that a seamless
Makes
transition
sense.
from around the
Yes.
bird.
Good
now,
tips.
we are going to take,
good.
I'm going to take some blue. This is where you're going to do whatever. I'm going to take some blue, and I'm just going to just look different directions. I don't even know.
fun,
I'm not even
okay.
going to think about it. Just wherever I feel like I'm going to add some color. You can do yellow. And then with this same brush, and I can also show you with the flat one, but I'm using the brush that I already have because a lot of times I'm too impatient to grab another brush. A lot of times you just go with it. You just, whatever you feel like doing, right? I just grab any brush because I want these grasses, and I'm to just at the bottom, a hint of it. So what we're gonna do is I still have blue on my brush. We're gonna start at the bottom of the canvas. Like we did the feathers, we're going to push and pull up, okay? So I still have this blue, so whichever direction, if you want something like this down there, this is going to block it in a larger section, right?
Ah, okay.
So
Thanks for the tip.
but you
I'm
start
just going
off
there.
of the canvas like this. See, Jamie, whenever you go to do
I'll
this,
start off. I'm allowed to
and
mess
then
up the
pull
table.
it
I
up.
love it.
Yeah, you can get paint on the tablecloth. You can go up over the log if you want to. Now that just blocked it in with the big brush. You can take, we have a half-inch flat shader. Now, how do we make green? Do you know?
Blue and yellow.
Yeah, so if you
I
look
don't
at,
know why I doubted myself there for
well,
a second.
if you look at
Come
Red's
back strong.
feathers,
I was going to interrupt you.
if you ever forget, you
You're
look
young.
at
I
Red's
almost
feathers.
interrupted.
Yeah, there
See?
you go. Helpful, yeah.
Blue and yellow makes green, right? So that would be a
You're
good way
only
for
a little
kids
older
to.
than my children. I almost jumped in.
Yeah.
I was ready. I paused though.
Well, that's actually a good way for kids to learn their colors, how to mix, is look at Red's feathers.
Oh, that's a good one. I like
Right?
that. Yeah.
yeah.
But I know they have a lot of kids' activities over there too.
Yes.
So now what I did was I took some yellow. I stored an empty, a little pot here. So I took some yellow, and then I mixed in some blue, and this is going to make a green. If you want it more of an olive green, you would add red, because red is the opposite of green, and then it will knock it back and make it a more earthy, here I'll show you, a little earthier green without making it dirty. See?
Wow.
Yeah, I like that. Thank
If you add black, it makes it too muddy looking. So, but I still want mine bright. So I'm going to keep more yellow and more blue. Now I'm going to make sure my brush has that edge by pushing it like this. Okay, I have a nice edge. Now I'm going to start, and you know what, before I do that too, I'm going to put a little bit of white on the tip of it. All right, so now you're going to start down here and push and pull up. And that gives you your grass or leaves or plants. You can use a smaller brush too if you want, little tiny brush. So you could, and I'm double dipping here. I'm going into the green, I'm going into the yellow. Okay, and that's it. So now we're just going to, that filled everything in. If you want, you could even put a hint of some green up here. Like maybe there's a suggestion of leaves or something, right? There's no right or wrong. It's your painting. I feel like I might want some yellow up in there. All right, but we are going to finish our paintings. Okay, we're gonna take our time, do our couple little highlights and shadows and finish, and then we'll reveal our paintings. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we did some little tweaking on our paintings and finished them up. So let's reveal our paintings. I see Jamie and Alan. Okay, so Jamie, what, has never painted, or maybe
Like
how many
2
years
or 3 times maybe
in
over
your life?
my whole
And
life.
he's
yeah.
talking the whole time, and Al, love it. Alan, love it.
Number 32 for me in a row.
Good job.
32 months.
Very
and
good.
counting.
There you go.
Really
yeah.
good job. So I think you
Thank
need
you.
to show Red the painting and see what she thinks.
Yeah, well, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Thank you so much. And now we use the canvas boards. You can grab a little office binder clip. You could clip it right on there and hang it if you
Okay.
want. You could pop it in a frame. You can lean it on a shelf, whatever. So very good. Thank you so much for
Thanks for having
joining
me.
us.
It was awesome.
And we're
Thanks
going
for being
to
a great guest, Jamie.
Yeah.
And your information was stellar.
Thank
So
you.
aviary.org. We're going to show you what the next episode is, but highly recommend the visit at the National Aviary. I would
Lot
be
of
there
cool
every
stuff
single day.
coming up.
I would
Yes.
live there if I could. I just love it. All the exhibits
Make a
there.
little side room for
It's
her.
gorgeous.
Yeah, there we go,
I,
yeah.
I just love it. So, and look at my hands. Okay, so the next episode is 33, and we are going to paint, what do I have this called? This is Songbird Beauty.
Oh,
So the owner, one of the owners of Songbird Artistry, which is it's a store, retail store in Lawrenceville. And Debbie and her daughters, very talented, they make everything there. And there are, I think, over 50 artists, local artists represented
is
in there.
super.
And when I thought of the Bluebirds, because when you walk in there, it's just outside, it's across from Children's Hospital. You know, streets, buzzing, traffic,
Yeah, it's a
whatever,
busy
bustling.
area.
You walk in there and it's like you hear little bluebirds singing, and it's like this little magical land and all this artwork, and it's so beautiful. She does mosaics, she has classes, but anyway,
That is awesome.
I designed
I
that
can't wait.
for Debbie. So
Yeah.
that's next episode 33.
September.
Yeah. So all right, guys, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope we inspired you, and hope we inspired you to go to the National Aviary. They do awesome things.
Come meet Red. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
conservation, preservation,
Yes, and a lot of fun events
education.
coming up, too.
Yeah,
That
it's
is
good
great.
times.
Thank
so,
you, Jamie,
all
for
right.
being great. Thank you,
Yes,
Maria.
you were awesome.
Thank all of you.
Thank you.
And make sure you tune in
And
again.
thanks, Becca.
And
Thank you.
start
And
painting.
everybody. Okay.
Start painting
Yay.
with Maria.
Okay,
Yes.
thanks.